And, it's a relatively quiet week with USC, selling into spring practice, the spring game a few weeks away. And I know that the thing that Tim was going to feature on our show this week, Duce Robinson, because announcement date this Saturday, April 1st. Is USC going to be the victim of an April Fool's joke? And remember, it was about 11 and a half months ago in the spring 2022 when we were all hoping and actually expecting, not just hoping, expecting that Josh Connerly was going to be a Trojan. USC was going to bag that elite offensive line recruit, something that, Clay Helton, struggled to do on a consistent basis. And then whoopsie, an abrupt turn to Eugene in the arms of Dan Lanning and Adrian Clem. And so, that one really stung, and it raised some questions about not just Lincoln Riley, but also Josh Henson, offensive line coach. They couldn't close the sale. And, what about this new staff in terms of being able to recruit offensive linemen? And then Francis Mauigoa also slipped away. But as you saw in the summer and also in the transfer portal, Henson was able to put pieces together, was able to bring in some significant guys, Bobby Haskins from Virginia. That proved to be a very important portal pickup. And since then, in the subsequent recruiting cycle, you've seen USC load up on, really more the portal than the recruiting, but still, there have been some recruits coming into the program, and Josh Henson really has answered a lot of the questions, and he's addressed a lot of the doubts that have greeted USC in terms of being able to recruit on the offensive line. I mean, there's still a higher ceiling to go for Henson as an offensive line recruiter, but between what's been coming in on the recruiting side and what's coming in on the transfer portal side, like Jarrett Kingston from Washington State, very exciting to have him aboard. And USC's offensive line does look pretty solid. And I would say that you have a little bit better depth in terms of first and second on the depth chart across the offensive line. Not like fully loaded in terms of like everything is totally sealed and, you have airtight excellence across the board. I don't think you can go that far, but I do think you have better 1-2 depth at the 5 positions than you had last season because, Mason Murphy, not fully ready. Gino Quinones, not fully ready. They were in there for little bits of time. Cortland Ford struggled after having early injury problems. So there were some wobbles. And, of course, the Oregon State game when Justin Dedich got hurt, he wasn't near anything close to 100%. You saw some stumbles in that game in Corvallis. And, of course, we all found out how significant it was to not have Andrew Voorhees in the Pac-12 championship game against Utah. So on balance, USC, where it stands with the offensive line, pretty good place, but like to go for a full circle and to draw a large circle back to this time of year 1 year ago, Josh Connerly, that was a recruitment that USC was expecting to nail down. Trojans were expecting to land the plane, close the sale, and here we go. A year later, we're expecting Duce Robinson to be a USC Trojan. But there's that little bit of doubt in the back of our minds, is this going to be another Josh Connerly situation? And, April 1st, like the jokes write themselves, right? Is this going to be another day where USC has a little banana cream pie on its face and another team walks away with a prized recruit that Lincoln Riley was expecting to get? So, we will just have to wait for Duce Robinson's decision. But it has to be said that, if USC can bring him aboard, what's the expectation? And, we'll hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit more next week about all of this. And hopefully we'll have a welcome Duce Robinson show next week. So we don't want to go too far down the tracks, but basically we'll just mention it here right now. And that is that, Duce Robinson could be a tight end for USC the same way Kyle Pitts was a tight end for Dan Mullen and quarterback Kyle Trask and the Florida Gators in 2020 when they lit up scoreboards, made the SEC championship game, put 46 points on Alabama, lost 52-46. A very Alex Grinch, Lincoln Riley style game, if I might say so. That game against Nick Saban and Mac Jones and Devontae Smith and the rest of the Alabama offense, coordinator Steve Sarkisian on the road to the national championship for the Tide. But anyway, Duce Robinson, he's a field stretching tight end. He's not just a blocking and tackling tight end who catches passes out of the backfield for short to intermediate gains. No, he would be a field stretcher, and that would be a tremendous new piece that Lincoln Riley can incorporate into his offense, giving a shiny new toy to the Trojans and everything that they do.